It is time for a new tier list, as we had two balance patches actually, right? Because we had the hotfix to Speedsters, and then we had this other balance patch that happened. That was also quite interesting, let's say, put it that way. As always, I have two tier lists on the top. We have the top and bot path tier list, and to my right or left, whatever you want to see it, we have the Sinvi area tier list. Again, I always split those up because it doesn't make sense to have a unified tier list, because some Pokemon are very bad in top and bot, but are much better in Sinvi area. So in a normal tier list, I would put somewhere in the middle then, and doesn't really say how good the Pokemon really is. We're starting off with Venusaur, which I think I would just put into B tier in both. I mean, Petidance Giga Drain is pretty good. Like, if you want to just carry games, never be afraid of picking Pokemon that are in B tier. If you know how to play them, you can definitely carry and win with them. B tier still means they are quite average, but if you know how to play them, you can definitely carry games. Solar Beam is not too bad, but I think it's just a bit outshined by someone like Inteleon. I mean, if Inteleon is banned, that's fine. There's also so much Talonflame right now, so playing Beam can be pretty difficult. And Petidance and Giga Drain is just not that good in top and bot path. Of course, you need a lot of experience, and its early game isn't that great. Now we have Pikachu, one of the buff Pokemon. I'm going to put into A+, and D tier in Sinvi area. A+, I mean, Wood Tech is just a pain, right? And it's even better than before now. So it's one of the better Pokemon. For attack, that's one of the safer ones, and also, it just counters the melees that are currently much prevailing in the meta. Next up, we have Ninetales. Still not the biggest fan of this Pokemon. I think Veil can be maybe A tier, but I think B+ makes more sense. I always feel like when Ninetales is in a game, it just randomly dies in a team fight and the game is over. That's how it always feels like to play it late game. And in Sinvi area, I think Veil can be a C tier Pokemon, but anything that's like C tier is borderline. Really should consider picking this, and Pokemon in D you should never pick in these things. That's how kind of it goes, right? C you can still, it's already on the board of no D tier, but it can still be played and get the job done. Mewtwo Y, I think still A+ when it comes to top and bot path. It's just a safe attacker Pokemon, point and click, very strong Unite move, good laning phase, still pretty good. And Central, I mean, again, I hate Central area Mewtwo Y. I think it's much better in lane. Farming on this Pokemon is just miserable. Farming experience is just having to go back to jungle takes years of your life to just go back out of this area again. Then we have Mew, which again, Mew's a bit of a weird Pokemon. Again, super good in tournaments and then very mid everywhere else. I think B+, I usually have it, I think, in B tier, but I think B+ also works for Mew, and in Central area also B tier. Yes, Mew can Central, and you get a lot more experience there, which means if you don't do a lot more damage, so I don't think it's too bad of a Sinvi area Pokemon right now still too. Espeon is always the go-to attacker Pokemon if you don't know what to pick and you just want to, Espeon is this Pokemon you can't look bad on, even though most people will make Espeon look bad, because we have this meme of Espeon players running around, and Espeon players are something else. But if you just want to play a safe attacker Pokemon, you want some have some range damage, some more teamfight control, Espeon is the best choice with Stored Power, Psyshock, and Psybeam. You can decide always what the enemies have. Stored Power usually better, but Psyshock is also. Central area, I think B. Stored Power Psybeam is good in Central area, but it's not a top tier Pokemon. Gardevoir, I do like Gardevoir, for sure. Psyshock Boomblast, I think is an excellent build. Goes into B+ here, and in Central area I'm going to put it into A. I prefer them a bit more than those other attacker Pokemon, just because Moonblast is very good in this meta. Glaceon in Path it needs so much experience to really get going, especially with Ice Shard, Icicle Spear, but I can't believe put it lower than B, and I think in Central area it's also still A, even though I feel like I haven't seen much Glaceon lately. Chandelure, yeah, I mean Chandelure can be rough, but I think C is a bit too brutal to put him into C, so I'm going to put it into B in both. And Prison can get a lot of work done. It's just sometimes if you just don't pick Chandelure if you have a weak lane partner. Make sure you have a strong lane partner, otherwise never pick Chandelure in top or bot path. Always make sure it's someone that has early game, because if you end up with, I don't know, a Dreepy, a Charizard, a Machop, or a Tinkaton or something in your lane, both of you are going to just absolutely get destroyed. It's just how it is. It doesn't have good early game. It needs level 5, and level 5 can sometimes take quite a while depending on who you're up against. Delphox, I think also just B tier. I mean, yeah, I think B fits. I really don't see much Delphox right now. Fire Spin is still super annoying, but I don't think it's anything. I mean, honestly, it just needs so much experience, right? It just needs so much experience to really get going. I think Mystical Fire Flame Charge could still be A, but then Talonflame Absol are big problems. Absol is one of the best counters for Delphox, and Absol is currently one of the best meta Pokemon. Same for Talonflame. So it makes Delphox life very, very difficult. Greninja, I always put him now from Dean to C, because it is not fully trolling. Like, you can play Greninja in top or bot path, but same as Chandelure, make sure to have a good lane partner. If you don't have a good lane partner, just don't do it. Just don't do it. Oops, scroll down a bit. Just don't do it. Then we have, I think right now Greninja's actually in a pretty good spot. Water Shuriken got nerfed a bit, but he got more HP. I think that's also quite good for Surf, and I do think Greninja is a solid Pokemon in Central Area. Gonna put it into A tier. Sylveon is struggling a lot, but I can't really put it lower than B tier. You know, if it depends on matchups, Mystic Fire or Hyper Voice can still get the job done, but it's nothing amazing. And for Central Area, I really cannot recommend it right now, but it's still better than Pikachu. The Decidueye is similar. I used to put that thing into D tier, but again, all depends on lane partners. It's just so important, I have to mention this every single time. Make sure, if you pick any of these Pokemon down here that need a lot of experience, make sure to have a good lane partner. If you don't, then stop picking it, pick something else, right? If you have a Snorlax with XP share, if you have a Slowbro with XP share, you know, something like this, or like maybe an Azumarill for early game that gets level 4 fast, you can definitely pick the Decidueye, Greninja in top and bot path, definitely. But make sure that your lane partner is not also someone who needs a lot of experience. Again, a lot of Speedsters around, but the Decidueye still goes into B tier. Spirit Checker can outrange a lot of things. Just make sure you don't play into Talonflame. Talonflame is, I mean, I'm gonna keep saying Talonflame is the biggest nightmare, I think, for any attacker Pokemon right now. Now, Syndax, on the other hand, I can't really recommend ever playing at the top and bot path. It needs a lot of experience. But I do think it's actually decent right now. After the defense penetration buffs, it's something you can definitely pick. And Feint can also be very strong into those Speedsters. Like, it has, I mean, you should play either Flame Charge Blaze Kick or Feint Blaze Kick. If you play Pyro Ball, it probably goes somewhere here. If you play Feint Flame Charge with Blaze Kick, it's definitely decent. In my opinion, again, Inteleon is still S tier in both. Controversial, but you will see in tournaments, it's currently one of the most played Pokemon. Gets a lot of bans, and it's just the most consistent attacker Pokemon. Even though its Snipe Shot is not the most consistent ability, it can be a very hit or miss, right? I mean, yeah, of course it can be hit or miss. Yeah, obviously, but yeah. Cramorant currently feels awful. Cram feels awful. Yeah, I don't know where to put Cram. I haven't even seen anyone play this Pokemon in years either. After that one dive nerf, it feels pretty bad, but I think maybe, I guess Surf Hurricane is on the same level as maybe like a Hyper Voice Sylveon still, potentially. So I guess I put into B tier. Its Landing Faith is still not too bad. It provides a strong Unite move, and it can provide CC, so I think that fits. While in Jungle, I put it onto C tier, because Dive Air Slash. I mean, Dive Hurricane is not too bad, though. Okay, for Dive Hurricane is actually not that bad, so maybe also B tier. Yeah, B tier. Duraludon. Yeah. Lame Pokemon, no one cares. Do you guys even want to hear my next Pokemon? Dragapult! Not a top and bot path Pokemon ever. Absolutely terrible in those. In Central Area, I think it's a solid B tier. Yeah, solid B tier. It can be higher, can have more potential, but it's also very squishy. Amarouche, I think B+. I do like both builds. You can play both depending on enemy team com. Either can play Fire Spin, Psyshock, or you can play Armor Cannon, Psyshock. So very versatile. And in Central Area, I'm going to also put into A. Again, I think Fire Spin, Psyshock is a great solo queue carry too. If you want to play something that 1v9s in solo queue, similar to Petidance Venusaur, then Fire Spin, Amarouche is a good way to go. Miraidon. Miraidon still, I don't think it's S tier anymore, but it's definitely still A+. And in Central Area with Electro Rift, I still think it's S tier. I only put it down here because I don't think Charge Beam is an S tier build. And Electro Rift needs experience now to really like get going. So Central Area, if you get blue buff Electro Rift, it's great. You can still play Electro Drift and Charge Beam in top and bot path. And I think A+ is fair for it. And that's it for the attacker Pokemon. Now let's head into the Allrounder Pokemon. I think Charizard's currently one of the worst Allrounders you can pick, especially in top and bot path. I think in Jungle it's still probably B tier, but it's nothing amazing either. Charizard just lacks a few things to really get going. Then we have Machamp. Machamp, I think, is a solid B+ in top and bot path. And in Central Area, again, it's not a good Central Area Pokemon. Definitely not into C there. Rapidash currently in lane feels very bad. Not gonna lie, I tried it. It needs jungle. Like, Rapidash is a good jungler, but it's absolutely awful on top and bot path. It just needs experience to do damage now. And I think for Central Area, I'm gonna put it into A tier still. I mean, A plus might be a bit too high. It's just currently a bit out. Yeah, its stats are pretty bad right now, but it can still be super frustrating and decent. Dragon Knight just needs way too much experience. Way too much experience to get going. Never pick on top and bot path. Unless, again, you maybe have a good, strong early game lane partner. You can maybe get to level 8 or something, but can't recommend. While I think it's also A when it comes to jungling. Gyarados, back to definitely A tier at least. I'm not sure if it's A+. Maybe it's even A+, honestly. You know, bigger bounce shield. The thing is as well, if a Pokemon gets buffed while everything around it gets nerfed, it's obviously going to boost up its value even further. So, Gyarados is just a great Pokemon, I feel like. Definitely not into Central Area, though. Up next, we have Mewtwo X, a Pokemon I absolutely despise. I mean, it's just... I don't know. It's like, it's the Around of Duraludon. It's not bad, but like, yeah, whatever. I don't think anyone cares. Azumarill, in my opinion, B+. I do like Azumarill still a lot. If you want to, again, play a strong solo queue Pokemon, Azumarill is a great one for a solo queue. And I do not recommend it in Central Area, though. Scizor currently... Scizor is just a counter pick. Like, Scizor is not bad, but you have to counter pick it. Otherwise, it's quite mid. And, yeah. You just gotta see what the enemies have first. It's only a draft Pokemon. Don't blind pick it. Don't first pick it. See what the enemies have. And then adjust to it. Scyther a bit stronger. B+ in top and bot path. And A tier in Central Area. Suicune is an interesting thing. It's hard to judge it, but I would personally believe it's the S tier. It just lost a bit of cooldown. It didn't lose anything else. So, yeah. While in Central Area, I do not like it in Central Area, though. It needs to be laning. I don't think it's good in Central Area at all. It's not a carry. It's like a supportive carry, right? It just stuns opponents like crazy. I definitely don't think it belongs in Central Area. It has very bad clear as well. Like, clearing jungle as Suicune takes years. It does take years. Trenator, I used to have it in D tier, but I do think Trenator has its way in top and bot path if you just know how to farm. It's just a lame Pokemon to play, but in no way, shape, or form do I think Trenator is a bad Pokemon. Blaziken, in my opinion, is still very solid. A+ in both right now. Maybe still S tier in Central Area, but I don't think so. I'm going to put into A+ in both. Metagross is solid. I do like him. I'm going to put into A tier in both. Top bot and Central Area. Very similar. Lucario is just a solid all-rounder. B+ is always a good pick. Nothing you can really do wrong with it. It has secure, it has good laning phase, it has good burst, it has some CC. So, but not a Central Area Pokemon. Definitely not. Garchomp has lost a good amount of value, but I do think it's still at least A tier. While in jungle, it's A+. Yeah, I put it high into Central Area just because you get so strong so early on for the mid-Altaria fight, and it's a good carry for late game. If you have a lot of experience, you're going to be very strong. Aegislash, I'm going to drop down from A+ to A tier. And in Central Area, I do think it's actually not too... I think it's actually a good Central Area for sure. Because you get level 7 early on, and you skip this entire bad laning phase that Aegislash has to go through. Serena, still A in my opinion, while in Central Area, I wouldn't recommend it. Don't like it in Central Area. Even though also you get level 6 fast. But I think for Triple XL, now that you've lost damage, you kind of rely on stacks. If you play Stomp, you rely on stacking. And it's sometimes impossible to get stacks in Central Area. Of course, it's also impossible in lane, but at least you can kind of int a bit for them when you play top or bot path. So yeah. But I mean, I guess B tier still at least, though. It's just a good Pokemon. Mimikyu in top and bot path, I'm not a fan of. Now it needs a good amount of damage again to really get going, so I'm going to put B+ here. And in top and Central Area, still into S tier. Buzzwole, solid A. Just a very good laning Pokemon. Sometimes struggles in late game, but it has a lot of game-winning potential playmaking too. While in Central Area, I do not recommend Buzzwole, even though it can be fun. You can play it in Central Area, but the problem is that if you put a lot of experience onto Buzzwole, which is not a good late game Pokemon, you're going to struggle. If you play Buzzwole and you take the first jungle rotation, and then have like your Duke partner go into Central Area, it's fine. But a full-on Central Area Buzzwole will just get outscaled, and then later on you might not have a carry that has a lot of XP on it. So that's kind of the issue. Phalanx, another Pokemon very underestimated by the community. The problem is it's only a counter pick. You cannot, it's similar to Scizor. You can only pick it if you know the enemy team. But even then, like if you play good Failings, you can probably get away with it. Iron Head and Beat Up is such a good build. Super annoying. And yeah, I can recommend you try it out. It's definitely good. Zacian. It's very hard to judge. I'm gonna put it to A in the top and bot path and A plus in central area. Right now, you have to go back to Sacred Sword again, but I think if you play rough or agility well, it's still a good Pokemon. Wicked Blow Shifu, C tier in top and bot path, because if you get to level 5, you can actually get something done. Again, also only a Pokemon. If you have a good lane partner, I would pick it, otherwise maybe not. Definitely still A plus in my opinion in central area, or just secure, and its Unite move is super good to take on enemy carries. Searching Saxo Chief, on the other hand, one of the worst top and bot path Pokemon. And in central area, I mean, I think I would like to put into A, but I think it's not A worthy. I think B is a bit more fair. If the enemies have a lot of damage or CC, it's a struggle to play. Absolute struggle to play. So, yeah. Cerulege in a top and bot path, I think B tier. In jungle A plus. It needs experience. And it doesn't have the best. I mean, it's good in level 5, right? But you also have to get to level 5 first. Tinkaton has lost a lot of value, but in my opinion, it's still A when it comes to top and bot path. You just have to know how to play it. And you have to hope that you play against enemies who don't know how to play against it. But I can still definitely hard carry games on Tinkaton. But Tinkaton games are very 50-50. Sometimes you just have no chance and get completely stomped. And never play Tinkaton in central area. One of the worst central area Pokemon in the entire game, similar to like Gyarados. Just don't. Please do not play Tinkaton ever in central area. Now we head to the Speedster category, which currently is a bit weird. It's very hard to judge Speedster. Like, a lot of people still ban Gengar, which, yeah, I don't think you should ban Gengar anymore. I think there's bigger issues in the game. So in top and bot, it drops back to like a B or C tier, right? It lost a lot of damage again, right? So, and in jungle, I do think maybe it's at A plus, but I don't think it's even A plus. I think people are like, I mean, Hex is pretty good, but I really can't put into A plus, I think. But A is solid. Like, guys, you gotta stop banning. To all the there, I know you have PTSD from Gengar now, but you don't have to ban it anymore. You don't have to ban Gengar. My opinion, Dodrio is just a very strong Pokemon. The only problem is it needs skill to be played, and that's why you don't really see it all too often. Absol is still A plus in top and bot path, and S tier in central area. Currently, I didn't get the biggest buff, but like, it's just a good Pokemon right now in general. Like, Absol is just very good. That one you can still ban if you really want to. I think that's fine. So far, I think currently my favorite bans are like, actually I don't even know what, I guess we talk about the next one, Leafeon. The question is Leafeon back to S tier? I think in central area it's definitely back to S tier. In top and bot path, I'm gonna put it into A plus. Not quite S tier, but it's also like, I think Leafeon is a good ban, Absol is a good ban, Suicune is still a good ban. Later on, we're gonna have some other Pokemon that are also still a good ban. Darkrai. Yeah, I mean, I think B plus and A plus, I think is fair. It's not the best top and bot path area Pokemon, but it can definitely work there too. Maybe actually A still. After the bug fix, I mean, Darkrai is definitely an annoying Pokemon in solo queue. Zoroark, I'm gonna put into A in top and bot path and A plus into central area. If you know how to play it, it is absolute pain. Talonflame, currently, I mean, Talonflame is so frustrating, even though, I mean, it was kind of only buffed a bit with physical pierce now, but I think people are realizing, like, how good Talonflame of a Pokemon is. But it does need level 7 for laning phase, so I'm gonna put into A in top and bot path, while in jungle, I do definitely think it's S tier. And Talonflame, if you don't like playing against it, definitely also a Pokemon you can ban. Zaura lags a bit behind now, but not too much either. I think it's a solid top and bot path Pokemon for B tier, while in jungle it's A, probably A. Let's put into A. Muscarada also still very solid. Flower Trick double team is good, especially after Flower Trick. Flower Trick probably was the biggest buff on the patch now, right? So definitely I think A plus and S tier currently when it comes to Meowscarada. So we still have a lot of Speedsters up here, but they might still drop down a bit in the future. Like, I might be rating them too high, but of course, especially in central area, you know, Speedsters are where they're good at, so it makes sense to have them this high. In top and bot path, they might still drop down again, right? Like, especially Absol or Dodrio. Now, Dodrio boys have an A+, but they still might drop down a bit. Next up, we have Speedster. In my opinion, Blastoise still a solid A+ Pokemon right now. Surf, Hydro Pump, super annoying. Also good against, you can see all these melee Pokemon, very good against. Slowbro, a good way to shut down anything as well. Unite move is amazing. Lapras has dropped down a tiny bit, I would say, back to B+. I don't know, Lapras is good and bad at the same time. It's so hard to judge this Pokemon, really. And of course, the Central Area tier list is done, as I'm not adding any Defender Supporter Pokemon to the Central Area tier list. It doesn't make any sense currently. There used to be some Defender Pokemon who could Central Area, but right now it doesn't really make any sense. Snorlax, put into S tier. Snorlax is a good ban. That's a good ban. You can ban Snorlax if you want to. I think it's still very good. Heavy Slam with either moves or Flay with block is currently very, very good. As Snorlax still kept some of the HP. They didn't fully re-nerf Snorlax's HP. They kind of cut it in half now in the end, kind of, from the buffs to the nerfs. So Snorlax is still amazing. Also, it still had a buff to block, had a buff to its Unite move. So one of the best Pokemon currently. Umbreon as well, still S tier. Just does everything you want a Pokemon to do. Oh, I think it's a solid A with Fly and Flamethrower. Fire Spin is also totally fine. But for solo queue, I definitely think Fly with Flamethrower is the way to go. Mamoswine. I think I'm putting it next to Lapras. I think that's a fair positioning. I think that fits. Kind of the same. Good and bad at the same time. But I think just a bit outvalued by other Defender Pokemon right now. Same for Crustle. Outvalued by other Defender Pokemon. Can be a good counter pick if the enemies have a lot of Pokemon who can't get across its wall. You can definitely consider it. Trevenant. Also, still amazing Pokemon. Either if you go Woodhammer or Hornleech or Curse and Hornleech, you're just gonna make your opponents not have a good time. It's just straight up how it is. If you play melee Pokemon to Trevenant, you're gonna have a bad time. And Goodra still remains as the worst defender just because of its level curve. I would say mainly still. If it had a better level curve, it definitely wouldn't be down here, I'm sure. Like, it would be like Lapras level, I guess. But because its level curve is so bad still, it's rough. It's rough. And then we have Greedent as the last defender, actually. Which also, I mean, I think Green is A. But Green is a Pokemon in one place. It's kind of like the defender of Duraludon, the all-rounder of Mewtwo X. That's kind of Greedent, right? All of those fit kind of the same category of no one cares about them. That's fine. You know, some Pokemon just don't, you know, they just don't have the what people want to play. And for the last role, we have supporter Pokemon. I think Clefable is pretty decent. You can go Gravity, you can go Follow Me. It's just a good late game, I think, healer though. Or like late pick healer, depending on what the enemies have. But I think always just having a healer in your team will make such a big difference that it's a good Pokemon. Really tough, in my opinion, solid B+. I think it's a bit underplayed, but I'm happy it's not played much more. Psyduck probably still S tier, even after the nerf to Surf yet again. Psychic Surf just provides so much catch potential. Okay, maybe it's A+ though. Nah. Like, I mean, Surf and Psychic provide so much. It's hard to judge. It's still S tier. It's so frustrating. It's so tanky as well feeling. Like, you can kind of play it like a defender Pokemon and be good with it. Mr. Mime, I think, is always a solid pick. You just have to know how to play it. Goes into A tier. Blissey still S tier, doesn't matter what. Sableye, B+, also Pokemon. You just have to know how to play it, and then it's very, very good. Sableye definitely. Timmy, if you're listening, I know the community says Sableye is weak and should be buffed. Please, Timmy, do not buff Sableye. Please do not buff Sableye. Hoopa S tier. I know some people are not gonna fully agree with it, but it just has so many broken mechanics that Hoopa's S tier, in my opinion, always. Comfey, solid A, depends on who you pick it with, right? And then Eldegoss into A+. And that's it for the tier list. As always, let me know in the comments what you agree and what you disagree with. Always curious to hear your guys' opinion. And I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!